Yes, this is Mr. Controversy, and this is the infamous three-point conversion station. Keep it locked.
Let's go. Mayfield under center. On 1st and 10, up by 2. Baker, play action fake. Look, shoulder fake. Looking down the middle for Fells. He caught it, and he's wide open. 10-5, touchdown, Darren Fells.
Boom! Boom!
49 yards. Here we go.
From coast to coast, representing all the dog pound. This is the Brownstown Podcast, powered by the 3-point conversion. I'm Eric, and over there is LA.
Hello, everyone, and we are back again for our Browns versus the Baltimore Ravens preview show. Of course, as Eric said, this is BrownsTownUSA, powered by the 3-point conversion. The 3-point conversion, where fans' opinions matter. Make sure you hop over to the website, the3pointconversion.com, and also follow the 3-point conversion on all your major social media outlets for the latest news, sports, updates, and, of course, catch great content, articles being written. We're right smack dab in the MLB playoffs. Plus, we got your Browns coverage, your Cavaliers, pretty much NBA, NFL, whatever you need. So, make sure you hop over to the 3-point conversion, again, where fans' opinions matter. On this show, of course, we'll talk to you a little bit about what's going on with us around the AFC North, what's trending with the Browns, our doggy bag segment, where, of course, you submit your questions to us and we answer them live on air for you. Also, then we will wrap up with our preview of this AFC North big battle that we have coming up this Sunday. So, getting right into it, Eric.
Yo.
You've been over there battling the Ebola, as they like to say, the swine flu.
Okay.
Other than that, man, what's been going on with you?
I don't know, man. We got the H1N1 virus that's going on over here, but no, we're all good over here. Just been enjoying the decent weather, except for the monsoon that we had on Tuesday. But, it's that weird time of the year where the weather is just so unpredictable, it's not even funny.
That is very true. Yeah, I know up here in Ohio, we have been extremely hot one day, and then it drops down to being deathly cold, and it's just been all over the place. So I've been trying to wrap up myself well, and been doing a very good job at it. Crazy enough, I don't get sick as much, but when I do, it's the death of me. So I definitely want to stay away from whatever you got there. So I guess it's good in this instance that we are virtually talking as to being in the same booth, because if we were, I would definitely be spraying you down with bleach water and all that good stuff.
You might need holy water after today.
Tis true. Yeah, tis true. Anywho, all right. So around the AFC North, man, we seen some big things happen last week. Pretty much everybody except for the Steelers, I believe. Yes. Okay. So the Bengals were victorious over the Atlanta Falcons, 37-36, and that was a wild game. I don't know if you had a chance to catch it, but that was a pretty good game there.
That was a fantastic game. Just watching the back and forth actually made me feel good about our defense after watching that game.
Very true. At the same time, I got kind of scared because to see the Bengals be able to shoot it out with the Falcons, I'm still trying to get used to us having a high-power offense. After that offensive display we put up against the Raiders, I'm still not sure yet, but we will see. It made me a little scared. The Bengals are sitting at 3-1, and they're definitely a formidable opponent. But as you said, we always play them pretty close. So should be a good game to watch. Then we also were able to see the Ravens go up against the Pittsburgh Steelers, and they beat them 26-14. The Ravens are 3-1 this season, and the Steelers are at 1-2-1. So basically, it's like split in half. You got the Ravens and the Bengals at the top at 3-1, and then you have us and the Steelers at the bottom at 1-2-1. Now, about this game, Eric, that I want to talk to you about before we shift over again is with the Ravens. I know when we did our shows over the, when we were getting ready for this season, nobody really seen or thought that the Ravens had any kind of, we kind of thought they were going to fold a little bit. I think at one point in time I even called maybe for that we would see Lamar Jackson. Did this game surprise you here, this 26-14 Ravens win?
Not at all. I mean, normally I would say sure, but just with how the Steelers have been playing this year, they are just atrocious right now. It's weird because it's just weird just because you never see the Steelers play this poorly. So the fact that the Ravens are shooting up again just should tell you that they have a youth movement. Now, the only thing I will say with the Ravens at this point, they're a bit of fool's gold because you got to remember, Joe Flacco may be balling out right now, but it's still Joe Flacco. There's a good chance he'll find a way to mess it up. And the second he does mess it up, you know what fans are going to want here.
Yeah, I still don't know. I think out of everybody that came out in this QB draft, Lamar Jackson, to me, like I said, and I've been on record to say this, is that he was the most intriguing to me. He was also a guy that I felt was kind of like a project that did need to sit, though, like Josh Allen. I thought that Baker and Rosen and even Darnold to a certain extent were more pro ready to go. So with them being, I think he went to a good situation overall, to be able to come in and be able to sit behind Flacco, regardless of what you feel about him. He's still, he still has the moxie. He's still a pro, so he it's a good thing to be able to sit behind and not have that pressure of having to come in and just essentially pick up the pieces, kind of like how it is with Baker right now, man. It's he doesn't have to worry about that pressure right now. Plus, let's just be honest, the Ravens, they're a stable franchise, so I know that they'll handle, everything to the best of their ability, barring any players doing anything crazy outside the realm. I'm speaking of like the Ray Rice type situations that they really couldn't handle or had no control over.
I mean, Ray Rice in and of itself was just a strange situation because you don't see something like that every day. Hell, you don't see anything like that in a leap year. But you know what? When you go to that kind of organization, it is like a dream come true. I mean, it's not like the death penalty like what a lot of people considered the Browns for the longest time, or even if you get drafted by the Patriots where you have to sit behind Tom Brady forever.
Right. Now, before we close out on the round of AFC North, again, I mentioned you got the Ravens and the Bengals sitting at the top at 3-1, and then you have the Steelers and the Browns at 1-2-1. Kind of taking a look back because we've reached what we call our quarterly of the NFL. Are you surprised at all by these standings?
The only thing I'm really surprised about is the Bengals, to be honest. I mean, the weird thing is they have essentially the same roster as last year. They finished in the basement with us last year. I don't know what's changed. I don't know if there's some kind. If it's just what's his name? Marvin Lewis fighting even harder for a job right now. But the Bengals are looking good. The Bengals are a bit of a surprise. Ravens not really surprised. The only other surprise is the Steelers, and that's for obvious reasons.
Yeah, very true. And whether the Steelers want to realize it or not, I know they're a proud organization. I really feel like not the fact of not having Le'Veon on the field, even though that plays a factor, but I think not having him on the field with the outside influence and the pressure and all the questions and all those different things, I think that definitely played a factor in how they started off. Again, I will never, ever count the Steelers out when it comes to making the playoffs just because we've seen them catch fire. They smell blood in the water, and for whatever reason, they turned into a whole nother team. So no matter how they start, it's all about how they finish. And I'm not going to count them out. Now, again, with the two other teams at the top of the division right now, the Ravens and the Bengals, we have seen them get off to strong starts before, and we have seen them fizzle out. So it's kind of crazy because I'm not going to count out the Steelers, but I'm not counting on the Bengals or the Ravens like how you said. They've had a track record, especially the Bengals, of fizzling out. And, you know, we talk a lot about how Houston has a job. It's absolutely bonkers how loyal this Cincinnati organization is to Marvin Lewis.
That's true. I mean, Marvin Lewis has not done a fan. To say that he's done a bad job is not necessarily true. To say he's done a good job is probably even less true. I mean, he's been average, if not middle of the road. He's never gotten the team past the first round of the playoffs. I don't think he's ever even won a playoff game, to be honest.
Yeah, without looking up the facts, I think you're absolutely correct. Every time they got into one, they've always lost that one.
And just consider who the quarterbacks he had were. These were not scrub quarterbacks. Carson Palmer, early in his career. Back in the day, Carson Palmer was probably the best. Actually, he's probably still the best quarterback of our generation to come out of USC. Just because when you consider Liner, David Booty, Sanchez, Kessler, all of them. And then, And then Dalton, as much as we love to poo-poo on him, guy's not a bad quarterback.
No, not at all. I completely agree with you on that. And that's the one thing that they've had stability with for a long period of time is that they've always had a decent quarterback, top half quarterback. They've always had a pretty good defense, if not elite defense. They've always had some type of running back there that was really, really good. You remember, the Corey Dillons, the Rudy Johnsons, we could just go on and on with the running backs that they've had back there. Also, too, they've had one of the greatest shows on turf with the wide receivers that they've had through there with Chad Johnson. I mean, they had Hushmanzada. They've had some really, really good talent there. So to be able to just get into the playoffs but never win one is quite disappointing. And like I said, we've seen coaches fired that have been in the playoffs but couldn't get over that hump, and we've seen franchise move in a different direction. So again, very surprising to see Marvin Lewis still up there, but he is. And again, as long as he's going to be there, as long as that the personnel as far as, the Marvin Lewis-Dalton tandem, as long as they're still there, I'm going to always bet that they'll be out if they get into the playoffs really quickly. So before we transition on and take our break, did you have anything else that you want to add to around the AFC North?
Not really. I mean, I'm just going to close out, I guess, with the fact that it's still wide open right now. I mean, the fact that we're sitting here at 1-2-1, with the best team being 3-1, it's actually a lot closer than some of the other divisions right now. Like, we all know that, like, in the East, for example, the Dolphins are not going to last. And in fact, I think we're starting to see the cracks already form with their lead in the conference. The Pretenders are starting to get weeded out a bit, and that's because they're getting crushed by teams that may have started off slow but are building up again. But it's starting to look pretty good, especially in our favor when we're winning, when we're only losing games by field goals. We haven't lost by more than a field goal yet.
Very true. And that's why we keep hearing the fact that we're so close and we're right there. So I know that we'll get into that a little bit more later. But that, folks, concludes our Around the AFC North. When we come back, we'll talk about what's trending with the Browns. Some popular things are being said about our quarterback, Baker Mayfield, plus a Browns player coming out and saying that we're wishy-washy as fans. This is Brownstown USA with LA and Eric, and we'll be right back.
Mayfield looking, firing down the seam. It's caught. What a catch. Back to pass, and they're going to get a snap. And it's Myles Garrett. How about that?
And we are back, Brownstown, USA. And as always, we are powered by the 3-point conversion. I'm your man, LA, and across from me is Eric. And we just got done talking about around the AFC North and what's going on with those other teams there. But we want to bring something to you right now, and it's called What's Trending with the Browns. And Eric, I came up with this idea a couple of days ago when it dawned on me that we are a hot team and a hot topic. And it's no reason to shy away from it, but we are being talked about. Our players are being talked about. There's all kinds of stories coming up. And so I was like, you know what? Why not add it in there? I mean, that'll be fun. So for the first thing on What's Trending with the Browns, we had the defensive coordinator from the Ravens come out and say that Baker Mayfield is the Brett Favre. And what was the other guy he said? Brett Favre.
John Elway.
And John Elway of this. How did he word it? He said of this.
Let me pull it up quickly, but I honestly find it one and to be very interesting, if for no other reason, just because, well, as Browns fans, we hate John Elway. Let's see.
Oh, there it is. This generations. That's what I thought. I want to say generation, but I know that generation is a very powerful word. So, but he did say just this generation. This generation's Brett Favre or John Elway. Looking at that statement, Eric.
Yes.
How you feel about that, man?
I think that's a very respectful quote, to be completely honest. I mean, look, whenever you get compared to two Hall of Famers, you're doing something right. The crazy thing is, though, he might not be wrong. I mean, as much as we can sit back and say, as fans, oh, there's no proof of this, there's no legitimacy. That first game he played in, he led probably one of the best comebacks that we've seen in a long time here in Cleveland. Hell, even last week, despite the 4 turnovers, he kept his team in that game as well as the defense. So there's not a whole lot you can say badly about him, but you know what? Maybe it's time to hold off on the comments for right now, just because he is only a game and a half in. It's better I will say it's better to hear that comparison than the other comparison.
That's fair to say. And I mean, I remember in this press conference, Todd Haley, they actually asked him about the Ravens defensive coordinator saying that, and Todd Haley was like, well, damn, is he carving out a bust for him already? Like, so Todd Haley, man, is so real, so straight to the point. And that's kind of how I feel about it as well. Like, can we just pump our brakes a little bit? I mean, the guy has a game and a half underneath his belt. I understand the charisma. I understand the fact that, you know, in this world nowadays, we want to hop on whatever the hot train is right now and come out with all of these outlandish takes and stuff and, you know, whatever you want to do. But I really feel like we need to pump the brakes on Baker a little bit. Yes, he has immense talent. Yes, I am extremely impressed when I watch this guy. Despite his 2 turnovers that he had last week, I'm extremely excited for his future. But I am in no way, shape, or form about to compare this guy to daggone Brett Favre or John Elway. It's just way too soon. Now, if you want to say, yeah, he has similarities, you want to say, man, you know, the way he plays in the pocket reminds me of this, or his pocket awareness reminds me of this, or the way he gets the ball out of his hands reminds me of this, go ahead. But to sit up there and say, yeah, he's going to be this generation's Brett Favre, John Elway, that's just bogus, man, and it's bullcrap. So I really, personally, man, I didn't like it. I didn't like it at all. And I don't like it when we do stuff like that.
No, I mean, that's exactly it. I mean, we got to realize that when you make a comparison, it's not a good look, just because the only time that a comparison should really be made is during the draft, and that's only because you take it with a grain of salt. Once you get to this level and you've seen him play a couple games, stop with the comparisons, stop with what to expect, just let him play the damn game.
Very true. Because, I mean, literally, he can go the rest of the season winless, and then all of a sudden, that's another name on the QB, the back of the QB. And the takes and everything is gonna make a complete 180. So I don't want to hear this crap, man. Now shifting over, the guy himself, Brett Favre, came out and actually gave his opinion on Baker Mayfield, and his opinion was is that Baker looks like a winner, and he can be great. Now, Eric, how do you feel about that statement?
Well, I take it more seriously than the defensive coordinator for the Ravens. I'll say that. No offense to the guy, but the thing is, Brett Favre is probably one of the most carved out, fleshed out, hard knocks quarterbacks of all time. And to be able to say he sees a little bit of himself in Baker, that's a very interesting comment, just because, well, we never thought we would see somebody like that. All that said again, though, please stop with the comparisons again. Look, if you can say that, you're gonna boost the guy's ego a bit, but it could also inflate it too much at the same time. We don't need an inflated ego. What we need is a cool, level head with somebody that can be a solid quarterback at this point.
Very true. And the defensive coordinator we're talking about, apologize for not having the name ready for you guys sooner, but it was Don Martindale, defensive coordinator from the Ravens. So that's the one who said it. Baker's just generations, John Elway or Brett Favre. So, again, like how you said, it was great for Brett Favre to be able to come out and say something like that. He can be great. He can be a winner. But, I'm sorry, he can be great. He's a winner. The thing to take away from that statement is he can be great. That's what I respect. Brett Favre left it out there that, yes, this is the league. Things can happen. It can go either way, man. It can go either way. So for him to say that he can be great indicates that Baker has the skill to do it. But will he do it? That is still left to be seen, and that's kind of where I want to be at, especially when we're sitting at a game and a half for this guy, and our Browns are sitting at 1-2-1. Now, of course, the 1-2-1 is not all on Baker, but I really feel like before we start crowning people the next coming of anything, I feel like you need to have a winning record. You need to be going into the playoffs. You need to be doing something groundbreaking. Like, if he leads this team to the playoffs this season, you know what? I get it, okay? You want to start calling him whatever you want to call him? Do it, okay? But until then, until he actually does something, let's pump the brakes a little bit.
Absolutely. I mean, if you remember, one of the things that I believe and if you remember, and people that are saying Baker's going to be great, Baker's going to be fantastic, some of these people also said that Jimmy Clausen was going to be a Hall of Famer. Yeah, how's that working out? These are the same people that said Jamarcus Russell was going to be one of the best quarterbacks of all time. How many teams has he played for? That's just the thing. We could talk about how great he is. It means absolutely nothing because it's all talk, though.
Very true. Very true. Now, shifting over, our good buddy over at BrownsZone.com, Scott Petrak, broke some news the other day. I want to say it was yesterday, about one of our players on the team. And the headline reads, and I quote, Jabrill Peppers calls Browns fans wishy-washy for quick criticism, says he gets harassed in public and promises narrative will flip. Now, what do you think of that headline? I know that I sent that article over to you, and and then plus I know that you hear what you hear as well on your side. So after gathering all the facts and just putting it all together, how do you feel about this?
I mean, as a Browns fan, it's upsetting to hear. Let's be realistic. Nobody wants to hear that, you guys are wishy-washy. But how many times have we hopped on and off of bandwagons over the past few years? Ourselves included, because if you remember, this time last year, with how bad Deshaun Kaiser was playing, we still want him to be here, like he was going to be the future of this franchise. But at the same time, there's stuff you don't say in the NFL. I mean, when you call out your own fans, that's a death wish. I mean, it doesn't matter if you went to Ohio State. It doesn't even matter if you – and it clearly doesn't matter if you went to Ohio State because if you remember, Carlos Hyde back in the day sent out a tweet that bashed Cleveland. But when you do it, and it doesn't matter if you're from Michigan, but it just adds that extra sting when you are from Michigan.
Yeah, and reading it all and gathering it, and then of course he came out with another statement today saying that he didn't mean anything by it. He loves being a Cleveland Brown. He loves the fans here, which he's still on his rookie deal. So I'm not really putting any stock into that until after that is up. But yes, people are absolutely going bonkers knowing that he's from Michigan. I understand a lot of us are in this area are Buckeye fans. Now, to me, I don't care. I don't care where he goes to college at because that has nothing to do with the NFL at all. What has to do with the NFL is he going to be a player that can come in and contribute? I don't care what school you went to. You know what I mean? And that's what really boils down to. So it's really forgive Eric again, he's dealing with the swine flu. But yeah, it's really petty to bring up any of the Michigan ties or anything crazy like that. The one thing that jumped out to me too was that he said he's been harassed. Like he says that he's not the guy that goes out with security around him or anything crazy like that, but now he has to. He said he didn't really feel like he would be recognized like that because, he would go out wearing a hoodie, really incognito. And he said, but the fans would come at him. He said it was like one time he said one of his friends had to kind of pull him away from an argument with a fan. Now that is something that I believe because we as Brown fans, especially here, are very, very passionate about this team. And we are some idiots when it comes to that as far as where we draw the line between reality and sports. And so if you are actually going and attacking this guy, I'm sorry, man, I cannot go and be on the fan side with that. That makes no sense.
No, absolutely. I mean, the thing is, at the end of the day, no matter how much you want to accept it or not, this guy's a human being doing his job. I mean, whether he's doing a good job of it is not, and it's not up for us. It's up for us to decide. But it's to stay in that forum to call him out when he's out with friends. God forbid if he's out with his family. I mean, keep in mind this isn't like a few years ago. More like over a decade ago, with Steve Bartman, who caught the foul ball when Moises Alou was trying to do it. Fans are a very nasty breed to the point of sending death threats, to the point of saying, we're going to kill you because you screwed us over. It's an ugly thing, but especially with Cleveland, the fact that we haven't had that winning team for a while, and yet we're passionate about it. It's crazy. It's the best way to put it is it's almost like that, and the fans from Major League are actually real. Those crazy ones that were out in the outfield that just did not, and that always tried to make excuses for why the team wasn't great.
Yeah. Like I said, us as fans, and I mean, I know I ain't saying we're Butter fans or anything, but we're a little different because, again, I love my Browns, I do, but at the same time, we're covering them, we're giving our professional opinion, and so it's a little different from us. We're kind of getting out of that realm of just complete fandom, but at the same time, I remember being there, and I know how it is, and still, not in a million years would I sit up there and approach a player, and especially on his off time, he's just riding around the city just trying to chill. And I'm going to go up to him and say, hey, man, so yeah, great job back there, dude. Way to blow it. You know what I'm saying? Who does that? Because I know if somebody would have come at me and say, hey, L.A., great show the other day. You guys really stink. I'm going to want to go upside his head. I'm sorry. That's just going to be my gut reaction at the end of the day. So, yeah, man, not cool. Cleveland fans, we gotta get it together on that, and And like you said, they're human beings. They're just like us, except for their job is to be in the NFL. So as we wrap that up with a nice little bow, was there anything else trending that you've seen out there before we wrap this up?
Well, the only other thing that is trending is the injury report, but I'm sure we'll get to that in a little bit.
Absolutely, yeah. We're gonna get to the injury report when we do our preview.
The only other thing also is Pro Football Focus put out their picks for this weekend. They're giving us respect with the Ravens, dog.
Okay.
Believe it or not, they have Pro Football Focus always does their weekly picks. Now, a lot of the games that they have are pretty much all one-sided. Like they're saying Rams going to beat the Seahawks, Philly is going to beat Minnesota, blah, blah, blah. You get to our game, they're actually split about the Browns and Ravens right now.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Well, awesome, man. Well, yeah, we'll definitely get into more of that when we get into our preview. But as of now, that was what's trending with the Browns. And if you want to help us out with the What's Trending segment, we're going to do that on our preview show every single week for you guys. So if you guys want to, just tweet at us what's trending and tag what's going on, and we got you covered. So when we come back on our Browns-Ravens preview show, we're going to hop into some doggy bag questions. That's right, from you. That's where the fans hit us up in our Facebook group or on Twitter, and they ask us questions. So we will answer that. We'll have Eric dig around in this doggy bag and get some questions out there for you, and then we'll also let you know how to get in touch with us so that your question can appear on the doggy bag next week. This is Brownstown USA, powered by the 3-Point Conversion. We will be right back.
Hey, I'm Diana Taurasi from the Phoenix Mercury, and you're listening to the 3-Point Conversion Radio.
And we are back, and I am laying across from me is Eric with the Ebola, and this is Brownstown USA. We just got done wrapping up what's trending with the Browns, and of course we took you around the AFC North. What we have now is our big segment that has been made popular by you guys because it's with you guys involved, and that's our doggy bag. That is Eric's segment where he digs into his bag and finds some nice, neat questions for you guys. So let's see what Eric has for us this week.
Let's see Why the hell is Jim Tressel's sweater vest in here?
I'll take that. It's starting to get cold.
All right, let's see. What else we got? I don't know. Oh, it's Peyton Hillis. I was wondering what happened to his career. All right, up here we go. Should the Browns trade for a right tackle? If so, who? I mean, my personal thing, right tackle isn't the position people were worried about, which is actually a bit of a relief because at the beginning of the year we were talking about how we need to improve the left tackle position, but Desmond Harrison has looked pretty good at that end. Honestly, I think Hubbard hasn't looked that bad, especially since he has been tasked with trying to work with Harrison. So, I'll be honest, I don't think I don't think we need to trade for one. If we do, then I don't know what's readily available at this point. So, it's a no for me.
Yeah, it's also gonna be a no for me, dog, because of the fact that we have to realize that the line is something that gels together. It's like a continuity kind of thing. They have to flow just like water. So therefore, these guys playing together, they've been around each other, and they will continue to get better. And everybody has said that every single week, including us, saying that the line is getting a lot better. Now, of course, they can improve on their run blocking, but their pass blocking has been tip-top shape. Now, as far as if we were going to trade, I don't think we would trade because I think we still have like Austin Corbett sitting back there kind of chilling, where he kind of is a plug-and-play kind of guy. So I don't really feel that they would trade for anybody necessarily. Then they would either bring Corbett over or they would either elevate or try somebody else that's on the team, I really just don't see the possibility of us trading for anybody.
Not to mention, trading usually doesn't happen in the NFL during the season. A lot of people see the trade deadline update in Madden, but nobody really trades in the NFL during the season. It usually happens before or after. Usually the only time you make a trade during the season is if you need that one piece because you know you can compete.
Correct.
All right, let's see what else we got. What the? Oh, crap. It's Dante Stallworth's driver's license. Okay.
Not touching that with a 10-foot pole.
You know exactly what I'm thinking. Okay. Why didn't the coaches give Chubb the ball more? He had the hot hand on only 3 carries to me. And to me, it is baffling.
That's a very good question. I believe Haley was asked that today as well. He basically stated that they wanted to and they had every intention to, but just that the way that the game was going, they just didn't get around to it. It wasn't in the plans. So, which basically is a BS answer. Clearly a BS answer. And basically, I think he was admitting that he effed up on it. I mean, he just clearly effed up, and I really expect to see a heavy dose of Chubb this week.
Absolutely. There are probably some decent reasons you can make, like the fact that Chubb runs, but he doesn't really block a whole lot. So,
right.
I mean, we're finally starting to see him on special teams make tackles, which is good. He's starting to earn his keep right now. So, I remember I called him the MVP of the game last week during our post-game show, but
right.
The thing is, he's got to learn how to block to be successful in this league. He can be a great runner, but especially considering that we haven't seen some runs like that since probably his former teammate, Todd Gurley. But you know what? At the same time, if you can learn to block, if he can become a more complete back and show us why we took him at the top of the second round, then we'll be good.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with you. And I think what it all boils down to is that our future will be Chubb and Johnson. I love Carlos Hyde to death, but of course, he's the older man on the roster, and, we gave him a shorter deal. So I could see, the more that Chubb continues to develop and shows that he's going to be a consistent back, like how we bring up all the time on the show is blocking, then Hyde will get shoveled out. We'll see Nick Chubb as the bell horse kind of back, and then we'll see Duke Johnson come in and that thunder and lightning kind of role for them. So, yeah, I absolutely completely agree with that.
Absolutely. All right, let's see what else we got. A Dennis Northcutt jersey? Does anybody even remember Dennis Northcutt?
I absolutely do.
God. Well, what's it? Kevin Johnson? God, where are these Braylon Edwards? Where are these Browns receiving jerseys coming from? Next thing you know, it's going to be Muhammad Massaquoi. Ugh. Okay. Browns keep making the same mistakes. You think now is the time for a new head coach? We always get this question every week now, to the point of, is it time for Hugh to go?
You know what? To be honest with you, man, I'm kind of sick of the question of is it Hugh? Every time something bad happens, it's always Hugh. I get it. He's going to be the scapegoat. He's the guy that's been there for the past, 2 seasons or whatever, and, have had the horrendous record. I get it. And so the easy, low-hanging fruit is to blame Hugh. I get it. But look, guys, it's not going to happen. Hugh has 100% confidence from the owners. Then the owners were able to instill that confidence into John Dorsey. So I don't see them pulling the plug on Hugh anytime in the regular season. I will maintain this, and I feel that if they get rid of Hugh, it will be in the off season, because when you bring somebody new in, it is very hard. And just think about your local jobs and everything like that you have. If you get rid of the top dog manager, how different is work when that next person comes in? Because for the next couple weeks, month or whatever have you, they have to get comfortable. They have to instill their management style. They have to change some things around. They have to do an overall general assessment of the entire team. It's a lot that goes behind it. And then now you're telling players that have been on that team, thankfully it's not that many from the previous regimes, but now you got to tell these people, Jarvis Landry, some actually good names now, hey guys, we got a new head coach. We're going to have to do it differently. The language may change. You have no idea. And then like how you said, if that means now we got to get rid of coordinators all over again, bring somebody else in with a new philosophy, then we have to start hearing the excuse of, well, this player doesn't match his scheme, so we have to wait another year to draft the right players that he wants in his system. I'm tired of hearing about that. Browns fans, public service announcement. Again, I know we've been patient, but this time we really have to be patient.
Absolutely. I mean, this is the first time in years that we've actually looked relatively good. The last time we looked at even anything close to this level was when Mike Pettin was the head coach. Let that sink in. Does anybody really remember Mike Pettin as the head coach? He was okay. I mean, a bit overrated, but
do we want to remember?
I think fans want to remember that 1 year just because we were led by Brian Hoyer. So, anyways, the fact is, we have to stop harping on this question. If he's going to get fired, it's going to be at the end of the year. And if he does get fired, there's a good chance that Haley's going to go, that Williams is going to go. And at this point, I don't want to think about that at this point.
Right. Because believe it or not, however you feel about Williams, the guy's made the defense absolutely ridiculous. However you want to feel about Haley, we're getting there with the offense. I mean, we're getting there. So I'm not happy about our record, but I'm not disappointed in the progress. Like, I actually see it this year compared to years prior where they were trying to force feed us and say, yeah, we're going to get better and stuff like that. No, we weren't. We clearly seen players walk out. We seen players get cut and go to other teams and have tremendous success. So this season is actually a season that, yeah, it may be hard. It may be a heart attack every single time we watch a game because it's so close or something like that. And Browns, literally, I cannot take another one of those. I mean, look, I don't want you to get blown out and get, and lose, but just blow out win one time, please, so I can stop having heart attacks every single time we kick a field goal or something like that. This is getting ridiculous.
It really is. And you know what? I'm actually liking – and the only thing that I would say, if we are to get rid of anybody, you know exactly who I want to get rid of at this point.
Yep, Famous Amos.
Yep. So that would be the only guy I'd get rid of. Other than that, I think that we're seeing a different Hugh Jackson than we've seen in the past couple of years. So, you know what?
How so?
Well, it seems like we always knew Hugh had a little bit of passion. I mean, the guy was calling plays and all that. I have never seen him this animated on the sidelines, though. Like, we've seen some animation in the past. This year, he's been really animated. He's pleading cases with the referees. He's actually showing to give a damn, so...
Oh, he's being a head coach. Okay.
Exactly. I mean, it's something that... And it's a lot easier because last year we were seeing him with the two hats, so... Now to see him taking responsibility as the head coach fully, it's a good sign.
Absolutely. I agree. I definitely agree. Okay. But, let's see. I think we have time for one more question. You got any more?
Yeah, we got one more, and this one's a doozy.
All right.
I'm wondering why we get to be third down and short. Why don't we use the fullback in more down situations?
You want to take that one?
Absolutely. I mean, here's a answer that I think is a little easier.
Mm-hmm.
Because our fullback's hurt. Look, I hate to say it, but we don't have a healthy fullback on the roster. Dan Vitale is on IR, if I remember correctly, or the PUP list or one of the lists. So that's why we haven't seen a lot of them. And while you could probably put Charles back there, do we really? I mean, we've never been. I mean, the idea of the fullback is kind of dead in today's NFL nowadays. It's not like the old days where you had, let's see, John Mike Allstott or the good Richardson, or even, well, there's just too many good fullbacks to talk about. But the era of the fullback's kind of over at this point.
Yeah. And yeah, that's pretty much when you said that question, I was like, yeah, we don't have a fullback. So, that kind of running and just style of play is gone now. Even though I don't think that it's a bad idea, so we're not saying your question is crazy or dumb or anything. So, but that style is just not there anymore. So, the more so as far as what we see, instead of people, they'll either get it to their running back to just kind of, line up, bring both tight ends in, do heavy run blocking, or we'll just see a QB sneak. I mean, they pretty much would rather do that than to have a fullback on the roster to come in and do those kind of duties.
I mean, the only other thing that people do nowadays is when they bring like J.J. Watt in to to pretty much just punch it in. I would not do that with any of our defensive ends. No offense. Myles Garrett is an absolute freak. I don't want to do that with his leg problems. So
yeah,
again, freak. I would not do that though, just because you do run a risk of somebody getting hurt with that. And honestly, I'm curious to see if that's part of the reason that, say, J.J. Watt has never been able to stay healthy, because of the different types of momentum that you have to have for both sides of the ball.
That could be a very good point. But at the end of the day, I would respectfully say I don't care, because it's the Houston Texans. So until we start covering them or have a show of them or something like that, then that's when I'll care. But as of right now, I do not. So that wraps up our doggy bag segment for this week. Thank you guys for participating. We love the questions. Keep them coming. If you would like to get your question heard in the doggy bag segment, please reach out to us at BrownsTownUSA on Twitter, or make sure that you're a member of our group at BrownsTownUSA. We also sometimes post in other random Browns groups sometimes, and we'll ask those questions. And then also, like I said, keep a lookout, because we'll say, hey, for the preview game, we're getting our doggy bag questions ready, so make sure you reply to that as well. Or if you see something during the game or you see something during the week that you got a question about, make sure you shoot us a DM or add us, and we'll definitely write it down and make sure that we get to it. So, again, thank you guys for that. When we come back, we will begin to wrap up the show with our preview of this epic AFC North battle, and we'll go from there. And Eric has not died on us yet from the swine flu, so we are grateful. And we will take a quick commercial break as he downs some Dayquil. This is Brownstown, powered by the 3-Point Conversion.
Hey, this is Brittany Griner from the Phoenix Mercury, and you listen to the 3-Point Conversion.
Let's go over our injury report.
All right.
So as of right now on the Browns, we have Burgess listed as questionable. Of course, we've seen Terrace Mitchell go to the IR. We have Demarius Randall, questionable with his heel. Antonio Callaway, knee, questionable. And also Jarvis Landry, questionable, I believe, with the knee injury too. From what we heard from Hugh, from all of the pressers that he's done thus far, he is not extremely concerned with anybody, with any of these people that's on the injury report. I am, however, very worried about Demarius Randall. And I'll tell you why really quickly, and then I'll throw it over to you. Because Demarius said that he was playing hobbled all game last week. He said he definitely came down on his foot wrong, and basically I believe it was Williams that was saying that Randall was basically playing on one foot the entire game.
Mm-hmm.
How do you? But Randall said that he will push the play no matter what. He's going to fight through the pain. Eric, what's concerning to you out of this injury report?
Out of this injury report, it's definitely Randall, just because when you get down to it, you have to realize this has been probably our constantly best player out there on the field for defense. I mean, this is a guy that's helped make it, and that's helped cause at least one turnover a game. So if you don't have him, then this defense is going to struggle, unfortunately, especially when you have Bryn Bodie Calhoun back there. I like Bryn Bodie Calhoun. I think he's a much better cornerback than safety, but at the same time, I think we need to sit back, relax, and realize that if we don't have Randall, then it's going to be a hard game. The other injury that does concern me is not so much Landry, it's actually Callaway. Look, I know it's weird to say, but when you don't have your receivers out there, then it's going to be difficult. Look, Callaway has had at least one big catch in every game he's played so far. So if you don't have that big catch guy, you're going to be in trouble. And also, for the record, no, this is not an excuse to go out and get Des Bryant. So Browns fans, stop asking for that.
Well, you know what? I sort of agree with the Callaway situation, but I sort of don't. The reason being is because we already heard, and this was kind of weird, but we already heard towards the beginning of the week Hugh say that he was going to limit or possibly limit Callaway's snap count. To me, that's weird, because why would you tell a young player that way at the beginning of the week? We already know what he's going through. I think as far as with his stuff off the field, honestly, he could be a ticking time bomb. So now you're going to tell him, hey, we're going to limit your snap counts. We've seen him struggle on the field with the penalties as far as blocking. We've seen some routes where, they weren't fully 100% gone through. So I get it. But I just don't get why he would come out and say that so soon. Now, so that's why the injury really isn't concerning me that much, because I think we're going to see him being limited anyway. Quick question, too, while we're on wide receivers, is you posted last night, early morning, I believe it was Ricardo Lewis, right?
Yep.
Yeah, can you tell us a little bit more about that post?
All right, so Ricardo Lewis, for those that may not remember, was probably one of Deshaun Kaiser's worst enemies last year. I mean, the two of them got into scuffles, and it was made public just because Kaiser would call him out. That said, though, Ricardo Lewis has been working on trying to get back to the NFL as fast as he can. He had a nasty neck injury earlier in the year that was looking like it was going to put him out for the year. But he's been rehabbing very hard, it seems. So, to the point that he's catching balls from the jug machine right now, and he's trying to get this I'm coming back type thing. So, the funny thing is, it's looking like he might be able to come back later this year. We'll have to wait and see, but the guy's rehabbing his ass off right now.
Awesome. And that's definitely good to see. Yeah, I was just like, yeah, okay. All right, there's Ricardo, because I definitely wasn't thinking about him, but cool. But yeah, like with the Callaway situation, again, like I said, with them limiting his snaps and stuff, that wasn't really that concerning to me, as much as, of course, the Randall takes top priority. Jarvis, too, I would love to see him just be 100%, man. It's kind of like we're seeing him on the list almost every week now. I think he has been on the list almost every week except for week 1. And we just don't want to see, those nagging injuries. We seen him go up for a pass last game, came down awkward and came running off the sideline, but was able to pop back in. We don't want him banged up, man. He's too big of a piece for that offense. So I really want to see him get back healthy. Now, as far as everything else, yeah. So speaking of injuries and stuff and seeing Randall, we seen Terrence Mitchell get put on the IR, and then we were also able to see Jeremiah McKinnon get elevated from the practice squad to the active roster. Can you talk to us a little bit about how you feel about that move?
I actually think it's a good move. What I want to see, though, before anything, though, I want to see what EJ Gaines can do for us. I mean, this was a guy that we signed late in the offseason, really talented cornerback, was decent in St. Louis / Los Angeles, looked decent last year in Buffalo. So I want to see what he can do, and if he can be a much better player than what he was before. I mean, obviously, we're not expecting him to be Mitchell. We're not even expecting McKinnon to be Mitchell at this point. We just want to see something right now, though, because while we may not get the same production as Mitchell gave us, we need somebody to step up in that role right now.
No, and I completely agree. Seeing Mitchell go down was hard, very hard. And I'm very excited about McKinnon coming up just because he had such a great preseason. And so it's definitely a lot of potential there. EJ Gaines, there is potential, but if I remember correctly, he didn't really do too good or look kind of confused when he was out there last week. So, this is not the game to try to figure out the secondary, but of course we have to go and roll with the punches. We need to make sure that we can, take care of some things, and we'll get into that a little bit more. But, yeah, I wanted to go over the injury report real quick. As we're going to take a quick break real fast, and when we come back, we'll talk more about the offense and defense and dive deeper into our preview. This is Brownstown, USA with LA and Eric.
What up, sports fans? It's your boy Damian Adams from The Real Deal with Damian Adams. Now, you can catch my show weekly here on the 3-Point Conversion station. I'm always bringing that real sports talk for the real sports fan. But if you're hearing my voice right now, that means you're living life correctly because you're listening to Brownstown with my man LA and Eric. Make sure you stay tuned. Tell your friends about the show because you know they're bringing that real for you, that knowledge for you here on Brownstown.
And we are back, Brownstown USA, and of course we are powered by the 3-Point Conversion. I'm your host, LA. Across from me is Eric, and we just got done talking about the injury report, and now we want to dive deeper into the offense like how I started off, but forgot completely about the injury report. So I apologize. So, Eric, going back to the offense being led by Baker Moneymaker. What position group will you highlight this week and be looking forward to the most?
This week I'll be looking more so at the secondary because the Ravens have somebody coming back. Jimmy Smith is coming back after being suspended for, I believe it was the first 4 games of the year. I don't remember what he got suspended for exactly, but I'm looking to see if Todd Haley tries to challenge him a little bit because when you're away for 4 weeks, there's a chance that there's going to be that rust, right? And there's going to be a good chance there's going to be a rust on him. Plus, I just think that the Ravens have always been a very good linebacking front 7 team. I mean, as much as we may want to discount them, Terrell Suggs knows how to teach and lead that team. The secondary, I'm not going to say suspect, but the thing is, we've had more success throwing against them than we have had running against them.
Yes, that is very true. And the crazy part is that the Ravens haven't allowed a lot through the air. They haven't. Now, I have to really, really go in, or actually, no, we got it right here. They face some formidable QBs, except for the Denver. I'm not gonna really give their QB any credit. But they've and also the Bills. Okay, all right. So they kind of have 50-50 on quarterbacks that they faced. When they faced Andy Dalton, they yielded 23 points, and then going up against Pittsburgh, only 14. So you can attack that. It will be interesting to see what Baker can get done with that. But I'm not going to say it's also going to just be an easy task, which I'm not saying you're saying it either. But this defense has been playing at a high level. Just looking over their numbers, man, it looks like they've only allowed about 82 yards on the ground so far. They've only allowed 16 points a game, which was, like I said, very easy to do since they blew out the Bills and stuff. So it looks like they're kind of right on track with what Ravens defense normally does, and having a rookie again, I mean, we're about to hit a tough stretch. So it's really going to be interesting to see how quick Baker picks up on everything. The positions that I'm going to be looking at this week, man, is the wide receiver group. We got to get these drops together. I mean, we made Baker look even worse because we had 9 drops last week. I really am looking forward to seeing if they're on the same page. The thing about the rookie report, not the rookie, but the injury report that was concerning also was that these receivers, if they're not out there running and practicing and catching these balls from Baker, it doesn't help them out a lick at all. And for the most part, most of these receivers were on bikes and running, speaking of Jarvis and Antonio Callaway. So, they were on the bike, and pedaling. They weren't actually on the field. So that's really, if there's anything that's going to concern me, that's what's concerning to me.
Mm-hmm. I mean, look, we got to get, and as you were just saying, when you have the receivers on the bikes, when you have anybody on the bikes, that's got me questioning what are we doing with conditioning at this point. I mean, we've had the only – wow, I can't even speak right now. The only team that has a higher injury report than us is right now the Ravens, but that's beside the point. The problem is our big names are the ones that are getting hurt. I mean, how many times have we seen Garrett on the bike? How many times have we seen Landry on the bike? Callaway? As long as we can see something right now, keep these guys off the bikes. Keep them in the game, dog. We need them to be healthy. And as for the drops, 9 drops is unacceptable because there were some massive drops last week. And those drops could have been the difference maker in the games. And in the game, we probably could have won if at least 2 of those drops were actually reeled in. So my thing is this, we need to get in some kind of rhythm, have some kind of sync with the quarterback and wide receiver. It seemed to get better as the game progressed, but if we can get that rhythm going early, there is no doubt in my mind that this team could be dangerous.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, as we get closer, and and thank you for not dying of swine flu while we've been on air. What else? What about the line? Let's talk about the line a little bit. The Ravens have always had a formidable pass rush. Our line is still trying to get it together. That was something that we got as a question on the doggy bag. What's your overall opinions as far as with Desmond Harrison seeing such a big matchup this week?
This is going to be the first real test for that line because actually, you know what? No, I actually take that back. This is going to be the second test because the Saints, as much as people discounted them, Saints have a decent defensive line. So I'm not going to discount that. The Jets, a lot of people said that their defensive line is supposed to be pretty good. So we've seen some formidable defensive lines. Now, with all that said, Baker just has to keep doing what he's doing in terms of just playing the way he has been. Look, one of the biggest complaints when we went against the 2 other lines was the amount of sacks. But that was back when we had Tyrod Taylor in, so.
Yeah, so far, crazy enough, Desmond Harrison has only allowed 1 sack. Crazy enough. Another thing that I'm liking is that Harrison actually admitted that he was on the phone with Joe Thomas last night talking to him about how to block Terrell Suggs. So that's good too, just to continue to see, Joe Thomas be so involved, man, with us and helping us out. It's just a great sign. So
it's also a good sign when you see a rookie actually reaching out to somebody and for help. I mean, a lot of people were on the heels of Myles Garrett, but people forget this was the guy that was talking with Bruce Irving to try to become a better defensive lineman. Look, if you have somebody that's actually saying, I need help, what can you give me for advice? What can you teach me? That is a sign of not just humility, but a sign that he wants to learn. And you don't see that in today's NFL anymore.
No, you don't. You really don't. And, hearing, Ogunjobi, I think it was Ogunjobi, come out and talk about how, he's getting mentored by Perfect and Vontaze Perfect. It's just very impressive all across the board right there.
Or probably the obvious one, who is Callaway training with in the offseason?
Antonio Brown.
Yep. So they're learning together, and you know what? It's nice to see because we come from a generation where you don't see, like, OBJ learning from Amani Toomer or Peerless Price teaching Julio Jones how to play well, or Michael Vick teaching anybody how to run the football the way he does. But you know what? At the same time, the fact that these guys are willing to learn, willing to take notes, and willing to become and do anything they can to become better players, that is the most promising sign for a young football team.
Correct. Absolutely. I can agree. Now, jumping over to the defensive side of the ball, what are you looking at from our defense and shutting down and stopping Joe Flacco?
The first thing that's got to happen, we got to get to him. I mean, the thing is, Joe Flacco's a good quarterback, but the thing is, he needs to be pressured. When you don't put pressure on him, that's when things can go wrong. Denver almost put pressure on him, but the thing about Denver is this is not the same Denver team from a few years ago that had the ultimate defense. This is not the same. I mean, they were able to get to him, but they were not. But they just couldn't get to him quick enough. If Cleveland has that rush ability to try to get to him quick enough, it's just a matter of if they can get to him. Is the thing. The secondary is going to have to play very well. Gaines is going to have to pick up some slack. I think ultimately we might see even McKinnon have to pick up some slack if he plays. But I'm not worried so much with Denzel Ward against John Brown or whoever the number one receiver is, because Denzel Ward has just been outstanding this year.
Yeah, it's been Brown. And Brown, to be honest with you, I think his stats are inflated. I was watching that game, and he really just got – he had like two really, really big plays. So, consistency, I'm not going to say it's there yet, but I'm not going to discount him. He's still a good player, but I think that Denzel Ward can handle that, and I just think that everybody else needs to, of course, step up when it comes to that. Another thing that I noticed too, man, is that I think we'll have a little bit easier of a time stopping the run this week because Alex Collins is their leading rusher. He hasn't really had big games these past few weeks. Hasn't been off to the greatest of starts for the season. But also, too, today he didn't practice at all. And he has something going on with his knee. So that may be something pretty big there for us. And may be able to get us kind of off the hook a little bit, when it comes to that running game there, that we may see a heavy pass and then we'll be ready for it.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, last year when we played the Ravens, we were able to stop the wide receivers very well. I mean, really, the wide receivers weren't what killed us, if you remember. What
Yeah.
killed us was Alex Collins, who, and against us, was his breakout game. So I hate to say it, but I think that with a much more improved defense, which that's the thing, we are a much more improved defense. When we played them last year, it was early in the season, so you didn't know, and Schobert was just starting to come into his own. Kirksey was just being Kirksey. And if I recall, I don't think we even had Collins for those games, to be honest. So we'll have to wait and see with that. The other thing that killed us last year is the same thing that killed us last week. And you know exactly what I mean.
Turnovers.
Well, actually, no. I was thinking the tight end.
Oh, well, yeah, I just looked at that too, and their tight end really hasn't been off to a great start either. And they don't really have a big, prominent, like, tight end. So, like I said, this is kind of breaking it down when you're looking at X's and O's and just paper-wise. We should be sitting pretty good. But, of course, we know that if it was all about that, then we would have been probably,
we'd have at least 2 wins by now. But keep in mind what tight end carved us up big time last year. Benjamin Watson, who, again, that was his breakout year. Sorry, those were his breakout games. I remember that I picked him up for fantasy football last year after those games, and he did nada.
Is he still on the team? Because I don't see him on the depth chart.
I don't think he's on the team. He might be in the league, but all I'm saying is
they got Nick Boyle and Max Williams right there.
Which that's the crazy thing. We have not been able to stop tight ends this year, though. It's the big thing.
Right. Yeah. Well, I mean, again, last week, really, really good tight end. Wanna like I would put him in the top tier.
Oh, absolutely.
Tight ends. But overall, like, I'm not extremely, like, again, looking at it on paper, this is definitely a winnable game.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to take a quick break, Eric, and when we come back, we will check in with you to make sure that you're still breathing and with us, and we will go into our predictions and then close it out. So this is Brownstown, USA. And we will be right back.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Cat Williams, and you are listening to 3 Point Conversion Radio.
And we are back. I'm your host, LA. Across from me is the host as well, Eric, a.k.a. I'm sick with swine flu disease and all kinds of malaria and everything. And this is Brownstown, USA, powered by the 3 Point Conversion. We just got done talking about the offensive side of the ball, the defensive side of the ball, and what we are concerned about and looking out for. Now is the part of the show where we do our predictions, and we give you our scores, and then we will also give you our breakout player of the game. So, as always, ladies first. Eric?
Hold on 1 second. I need to change my, my oxygen tank. I'll be right there.
Gotcha.
Okay. All right, got it. Okay, let's see. Oxygen tank set. Blood machine, good to go. Got to be careful with the swine flu stuff. IV. Okay. So, and my breakout player for this game, I think Nick Chubb is going to build upon last week. I mean, let me be honest with you. If you can, and when you have those types of runs, that's just the beginning of what's to come. We knew that Nick Chubb was going to have a big breakout game when he got the opportunity. I don't think any of us were expecting what happened, though, that game. I mean, guys potentially going to be the third Browns player to win Rookie of the Week in 4 seasons.
Which they're all on a nice little run right now. Of course, we've seen Denzel Ward win it. Then we've seen Baker Mayfield win it. And I'm pretty sure Nick Chubb should get it this week as well. So,
I mean, just looking at it, The only guy that I would be worried about that would win it is probably Ridley, but let's be honest. Nick Chubb just had the ultimate week. And that's
Ridley just got Rookie of the Month anyway.
Yeah. So I think that we'll probably see Chubb. And you know what? I wouldn't be surprised if we had somebody get into that category again next week. But that's beside the point. I think Chubb's going to get the ball more. I think that really we're going to start to see the rise of Nick Chubb. And I think it ultimately started last week. I mean, it's a good thing that Hyde has that front-heavy contract, to be honest, because if Chubb starts laying it up, we might not see Hyde that much longer in Cleveland. As much as we love the guy, Chubb is the future of this team.
Right, yeah. Just like definitely like how we said earlier that, Chubb and Johnson is definitely going to be that tandem, I believe, in the future. But I think Hyde was needed to be brought in to show Chubb, some things as far as blocking and, just teach the rookie a little bit, so that he could go and take over the reins. As far as my highlight player, I actually stay on the offensive side of the ball as well. And I'm looking for a game out of Rashard Higgins. I think he's kind of been quiet, but he's been productive. And I really think that he gets better. A lot of people are trying to take away Jarvis. And then depending on who's out there, with Callaway, I know that they said that they may limit his snaps, but I still see him as a decoy. They're going to run him on streak routes and everything like they've done with Josh Gordon to kind of try to take the top off the defense. So I believe that leaves Rashard free reign. And I'm really hoping that he gets it together with just the tremendous opportunity that he has with the amount of attention that garners to Jarvis Landry and to Callaway. And that he takes advantage of those cleanup snaps because he actually has a quarterback now that will go through his progressions. So even if he is a third read, he can still get the ball compared to if it was another quarterback back there and they're just locked on Jarvis the entire time, he really didn't get the ball that much. So I'm really looking for Higgins to figure it out this week and take advantage of that secondary, like we said, can be taken advantage of, and get some big plays this week. I'm really looking forward to him doing that.
Absolutely. As for the defensive side of the ball to watch for, who is there even left to say at this point? I mean, we've pretty much gone through everybody that could break out on the defensive side of the ball, and they've done well. But you know what? As weird as it's going to sound, I'm expecting a pretty good game from Agba this week. I mean, we've seen Myles Garrett do his job. Agba came in and he was okay last week, but you know what? Now that he's had a week to heal up, get back into motion, I think this is where he ultimately steps up.
Yeah. No, that's a great pick. And, we didn't put any rules here. So, I mean, if you were a Myles Garrett guy the entire season, whatever, we just judge you silently. But this week I'm looking to see who steps up for Terrence Mitchell. I mean, it's obvious. We have to see if it's EJ Gaines, if McKinnon comes in and steps up. That's going to be the story this week when it comes to the defense. We already know what the defensive line can do. We already know what – I mean, and you've seen me. I've been tough on this linebacker group, and I'll continue to be until they show me some consistency there. We've seen, Schobert eat last week, but at the same time, we've seen some huge plays that they missed out on as far as not being able to wrap up in tackles and stuff like that. Eric, one thing that I want to bring up before we go to our final score predictions. It's crazy because it started to catch fire a little bit. I don't know if somebody listened to the show or something was like, oh, my God, this sounds like a great idea, so let's not give the guy credit and let's talk about it. So you remember 3 weeks ago I was like, yo, we need to get Duke Johnson in on special teams.
Yeah.
And now this week it seems like not a reporter wants to ask Hugh about it. He was like, yeah, we definitely are considering it. We've been running some different things this week. Now it looks like we may see Duke on the special teams.
About damn time. Look, I hate to say this. I like Duke Johnson. He's starting to look like a bad contract given, though, at this point, because we're not doing anything with him. It's no fault of Duke's. We just haven't done anything with him. Look, if you're going to hand out contracts like that, make them work for their money. Look, Duke said he wanted to be here. Duke said he wanted to retire Brown. Make him work for his money, though. Just don't be like, here's a blank check. Do what you need to do. And just don't do anything stupid. Look, get him the ball, whether it's you're going to put him as a wide receiver more often, whether you're going to go ahead and start running more screens or pitches, or if you're going to, or as we're talking about now, put him back there. He was a good kick returner back in the day. He was good at the University of Miami for doing that. He could be our Dante Hall or Josh Cribbs. He could be our Devin Hester. And make him earn his damn money.
Yeah. Nah, again, you already know my feelings on it. I said it 3 weeks ago that we should put him back there, dynamic playmaker, a running back, so he's a little bit more sturdy than, and again, we seen the stuff with Jabrill, the stuff with Callaway. If Callaway's banged up, it's kind of like the universe is aligning for Duke to be back there. I don't know why they didn't just do it sooner anyway. I like seeing running backs back there because they're tougher. You know, they're built a little tougher than the other people you can throw back there. And then when you have a tremendous talent in Duke that is so elusive, it's awesome. And I want to see him make plays. Again, too, I don't know if you had a chance to catch the pressers, but they were asked about some of these returns and stuff. And, you know, he was just like, yeah, man, you know, it got to the point where we just told him to just stay in the end zone because we're not doing a very good job. So really what it's boiling down to as well is not only just having the returners back there make some questionable choices on whether to come out of the end zone or not, but we're also having issues with the blocking schemes and stuff like that, you know, and the tackling schemes on the other side when we're covering special teams. So, again, we already know Eric has a personal beef with Amos, and he's not going to shy away from it, and I'm pretty sure if he was to see him on the street, it might be an altercation and some furniture moving.
Hey, it's not Jabrill Peppers we're talking about here.
But, yeah, so let's wrap this up with a bow, man.
Why?
Browns,
last time we had a bow – hold on. The last time we had a bow, he was terrible.
So difficult, guys. You guys don't understand what I deal with on the daily. Anywho, wrapping this up, Browns versus Ravens, First Energy Stadium. What's the score? What you got?
What I got is I need something to drink. No, I'm kidding. I think the game's going to be close ultimately. I got to pick the Ravens on this one, though, unfortunately. I mean, look, the fact is they're one of the hot teams right now. And as much as the Bengals derailed them, we're not the Bengals, let's be honest here. I mean, we could pick up in the future, but for right now, I'm picking the Ravens. Give me them, let's say, 23-17.
Okay. Yeah, and that's very close. And this one as well, I think I'm going Ravens. I'm looking at it like a 28-17 kind of mixture right there. Again, like you said, we're not on the level of the Bengals yet, and I really feel that we can be talent-wise. It's just the fact that the Bengals have been together. Veteran, these are teams that have been together for a long time. And, again, that's something that came up in the press conferences this week is that Flacco's been in Baltimore for quite a while. These guys have been here. They've prepared. They've seen. They know. So it's going to be very interesting as far as what Ty Haley draws up, what Greg Williams draws up, because he definitely lost that battle last week against Gruden. So it's going to be interesting to see what they do. On paper, though, we do have a shot. So, again, Browns fans out there, we want this. We want this team to win. We want to be able to come back again and say, hi, this is Browns victory such and such show. You know, we want to be able to do that. we don't want to come up here and be all sad and stuff and then have to break down a loss. Nobody wants to do that. But again, just looking at it right now, early in the season, I think the Ravens get us early. Later on in the season, however, we'll see then. We'll see if we can get them back. But we would like to definitely appreciate you guys for listening to this week's preview show of the Cleveland Browns versus the Baltimore Ravens. This is Brownstown USA, powered by the 3-Point Conversion. Again, the 3-Point Conversion, where fans' opinions matter. Make sure you follow the 3-Point Conversion on all your social media outlets at the 3-Point Conversion, and that's the number 3. Also, catch the website, the3pointconversion.com, where you can find all the work. And also want to give a shout out to Eric, too, because he's been doing a tremendous job with these articles on getting all the MLB fans ready for the playoffs. So make sure you hop over there and catch his work.
Playoffs!
So, again, follow us, me, at LA_Broadus on all your social media outlets. You can follow Eric at Stoshball on Twitter. And you can catch the page or the show at Brownstown USA on Twitter and on our exclusive Facebook group. So definitely join up if you're a Browns fan. Again, thank you guys for listening. Please subscribe to our channel on iTunes, iHeartRadio, Spotify, wherever you're catching us at. Please subscribe to the channel. Be able to catch every show that we do and also all the other great shows that are on the 3-Point Conversion Radio Network.
And
Eric,
you know what, LA? One thing I can promise you that we do have punch and pie on the 3-Point Conversion.
Punch and pie.
Punch and
And
pie.
hopefully, if we win this week, or next week, I guess, because that's Sunday, it starts a new week. But if we win next week, we will be back with our punch and pie segment on a victory. I guess we can only do punch and pie segment, Eric, on victories, okay?
That works here. Hopefully we'll be able to celebrate it.
Absolutely, with some punch and pie. Well, that is it, folks. Let's go Browns.
Woo-hoo!